let's get to our SENSCENTRAL standouts. I'm doing this a little nervously, as people in the chat and yourself, Martian, not too happy with my standout. And look, I'm not that happy about it either. Like, if anything, this is obligatory honorable mention. I think there should be an asterisk there for me here, because I'm not standing puffing my chest out with this one. So, Martian, I think part of your outfit gives away your SENSCENTRAL standout, so we won't tease the citizens too much longer here.
Yeah, I'll get started here, and it's Artem Zub for me, right? He's coming back in, and he missed what was it, 7 games, and the team had a terrible record without him. And he came in, and he looked like himself, just right back to what he was doing, right? He's always blocking shots. He's always breaking up plays. He's a complete steady Eddie. And then just when you think he can't get any better, Pilsy, he ends up ripping one from the point. Lucky little deflection off a Vancouver player. And I've had the privilege of being in the building for a good amount of Artem Zub's goals.
You really have been, yeah.
I feel like I'm almost there half the time. Like, if he scores at home, I'm usually there. I think I've been there for 4 of his goals, which is nice. A good number. How many career goals does he have? Like maybe 10? Anyways,
yeah, probably around 10, yeah.
Yeah, so yet again, an experience that if you haven't had it yet as a Senators fan, it's worth going just to hope that he will get one, because it's so fun when the announcer for the Sens, John Trottier, says, "Goal scored by number 2, numero 2, Artem," and then he stops. And then everybody in the stands goes, "Zoob," and it's electric, Pilsy. It's so fun. I love Zub. So, he had a good little night, right? He had the goal. He had 2 shots. He had 4 hits, 21-12 time on ice. So, for me, Artem Zub, thank goodness he's back. The team looked a lot better, I thought, with him. But yet again, we can go back to the giveaways and the goaltending for being the reason they ended up losing tonight. So, Artem Zub, that'll be my standout.
Yeah, I like it. I don't think anyone's going to argue. It's always nice when you come back from injury to pot a quick goal and be like, "Hey, boys, I'm back. Like, here I am." Get the Zub chance going. There you go. My SENSCENTRAL standout is, I'm on my own here. Okay. Is the only other goal scorer for the Ottawa Senators, and I'm going with Drake Batherson. Again, guys, I know I can already hear the boos. People throwing fruit at me here. Maybe people think this is a bit, but there's tell me in the chat. You guys let me know in the chat who you would pick over Batherson here. Like,
Pilsy, I just spent 5 minutes ripping this guy.
I know. Yeah, March, it's like, why isn't this guy getting benched? And I'm trying to stand out here. Look, that goal was a really great play. You got to give it to him. There wasn't a whole lot of highlight reel plays except Batherson hitting the crossbar and Brady Tkachuk missing a wide open net. So I wanted to highlight that goal first and foremost. That's more of the Batherson we want to see. Unfortunately, the rest of the game, as seems to be the case, I've mentioned before, sometimes in the first period, I'm looking at Drake Batherson and thinking, okay, this guy's having a nice game. And then the rest of the game goes on and it falls apart on him. But he does get seven shots on goal, decent Corsi. I thought it could have been a better game. He kind of led to a couple goals against, unfortunately, but still overall, I couldn't really think of any other players that really stood out or were worth mentioning in my case, other than the Artem Zub.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. There's pretty slim pickings tonight, but for me, it would have been impossible to pick him tonight just based on what I saw out there. Like, for me, he's doing more bad than good. And you think about the effect that him and Norris, and I'll jump into Norris too, because he's not getting away. He's not getting out of this postcast with a ripping of his own either, because that's a guy who has been nothing but a perimeter player. And I mean, a perimeter player would at least play along the boards, but for me, Josh Norris is stuck in that area between the dot and the hash marks. He doesn't battle in the corners either. And I'm talking about the effect that these 2 guys are having right now on Brady Tkachuk, and it's completely negative. Look at Tkachuk's production since he's been on the line with these guys. Goose eggs.
Yeah.
More or less, right? So, these 2 guys need to get going, and maybe that was the theory there from DJ putting them with Tkachuk, maybe hoping that Tkachuk would get them engaged physically into these games. But both of them are playing like like the old, you know, the old school stereotype that people used to have for like European players. You know how like they you know they just
You mean
they
Don
don't
Cherry?
battle. Yeah, like think about the way Don Cherry used to talk about like Euros. For me, like these guys are legitimately playing like that. Like they're not hitting anybody. They're not, you know, getting in there and winning pucks on their own. Drake had the one takeaway where he ended up scoring, right? That's the one you can look at.
That's all I did look at. That's all I had.
That's all you had.
Yeah.
But both those guys are not creating enough of their own chances to be, you know, be getting the ice time that they're getting. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier. So either of them, like I'd be looking at those two. And if Norris isn't healthy, then what are you doing out there, man? Because you're not playing your game. And I talked about dogs earlier and like guys who get right in the mix. Norris used to be like that a lot of the time. And he's just kind of cooled it on it for me. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. I'm sure it's a lot of hesitancy because of the shoulder issue.
Yeah.
But it's honestly a piss off to watch. It's tough to watch because it's like I watch Norris a lot. I still do. I love the way he skates. He's zipping side to side, getting open, things like that make him, you know, a good goal scorer. But he had 0 shots on goal tonight too, Pilsy. Like if you're not shooting the puck, Josh, what are you doing out there?
Especially as a shoot first center and a guy that can really rip it. Like I always say, I love Josh Norris coming down the wing. He's the kind of guy that can just beat a goalie clean with a nice wrister. And he doesn't seem to do that, much to the dismay of producer Ross Levitan, whose Levy lock was Josh Norris 2+ shots, 0 shots.
Tough
Unfortunately,
bounce.
on that.
I had a bet with Josh Norris shots over 2.5 as well. So I feel you, Ross.
Yeah, I mean, put me in the pit of losers with you guys. Pilsey's parlay of the day. The only leg that didn't hit was Quinn Hughes' shots, and he had 0 shots. My other legs, yeah, you'll see here, over 5.5. Love it. Canucks +1.5. Yeah, that one hit. We know that. And Hughes, not enough shots here. So that's tough. Yeah, and with the SENSCENTRAL standouts, I didn't want to put Spartacat, or I didn't want to do Sens fans or make a joke of it. So, you know, I went with Baths, and I'm sorry, guys. I didn't want to do it. He was the only other goal scorer in this game.
Yeah. I mean, you could have just gone with Matthew Highmore, even though he didn't shoot on that open cage when DeSmith went out of his way to play the puck and then lost it. And Highmore had it. He should have just shot that thing from across the blue line. He would have scored.
I know, he fanned on it. That's tough.
And then he fanned on a second chance where DeSmith overcompensated for sliding into the net, and then he had another open net and he whiffed on that one too. But I didn't think he had that bad of a game. And if you looked at the chart that Ross had thrown up there earlier, according to the analytics people, he played, you know, the best out of all Senators. Not that one, Ross, but thanks.
the blue left-right numbers, to get really specific with it. I think that's the one you were referring to, Martian.
Yeah.
What did you consider taking Forsberg out of this game, Martian? Was that something that occurred to you in the second intermission, or was that kind of a vibe around the arena, or what were you thinking about that?
No, but I didn't really consider that. Because if it's going to be Korpisalo's night off, it should be his night off. But I almost think they should have just started Korpisalo in hindsight, right? Like,
yeah, back to back.
He's playing well. He would have stopped a few of those, I think, especially those first period shots. I think he would have had one of those, and it would have just probably changed the script of the game. I think if they would have continued going with Korpisalo. Again, it's been a really light schedule, right, Billsy? Like, it's not like he didn't just have 4 nights in a row off.
Sure.
You know, he just played one game after 4 days off. So put him in there for the next one. He's looking good. That's a guy I feel like the more reps, the better. Forsberg has been playing okay this year. I think he did get pulled the one time there. I think it was maybe the Detroit game. But other than that, like, why wouldn't you just keep Korpisalo rolling? Because it's not like he's tired after playing just one game. I know it's a back-to-back.
I like going back-to-back, switching goalies, just because also, like, if you're Forsberg and they don't go to you after a back-to-back, that's really sending a message like, hey, we really don't want to use you, which, hey, might be the case if he's cold, but...
Well, now what's going to happen? Whose net is it now? It's 100% Korpisalo's net now.
Oh, there's no question you give Calgary to Korpisalo. Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. But as far as pulling him in the third, it didn't really occur to me. But I don't think anybody in the building thought that Forsberg was playing well.
No, it was a tough night, and like that's the frustrating thing is I think Martian also like the whole idea of bringing Corpusalo in was to have a solid tandem, right? And if you're going to have a solid tandem, you got to give the 1B goalie enough games that he feels like he's in the mix, and I think that's what they're trying to do with Forsberg, but
Yeah.
it's not working for him.
Yeah, I just feel like just with the schedule, the way the schedule is working right now, with the it being so kind of stretched out over these weeks, it's like it feels like it's almost like 2 games a week, 3 games a week, never 4. But when you get into the heavier part of the schedule, for sure it will be more of a 1A 1B situation. But you got to hope. Otherwise, like if Forsberg can't bounce back on his next start, then like you have no ability to trust him anymore almost. So you almost got to just ride Corpusalo until he flounders or needs a break.
Where do you think this game fell apart, Martian? Because like for the most part, like Sens
I'll
are,
tell you.
huh?
I'll tell you.
Okay, all right, all right. I'll flower it up a little for you. For the most part, like the Senators were controlling the puck a lot of time. There was stretches where the Vancouver Canucks just aren't getting anything towards the net. Sure, they might have had the Sens hemmed in their own zone, but the Sens defensive structure was doing a good job of keeping them wide. And Quinn Hughes was skating around like a madman, but he didn't get any shots off. So that's something where you're looking at this Ottawa Senators team and you're like, if you're doing a good job holding offensive powerhouse like the Canucks to a limited amount of shots, like these guys have multiple guys in the top 10 in points in the league, and you're holding them shotless in Quinn Hughes' case, that is. Like, where did this fall apart for them?
For me, it was one of those goals that you and Ross talk about a lot, where it's a end of the period type situation. I believe it was the end of the period. JT Miller's goal at the end of the second, right? Yeah, it was like about a minute and a little bit left, I believe, on that one. And yeah, so that was the one. I mean, that was another like kind of shot from a range that I think Forsberg maybe would have wanted back. It was a great shot. But that JT Miller goal was the one for me where I was like, they're screwed, because going into the third tied would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
But being one down and the way Vancouver's playing, and then of course again, like they come out and halfway through the period, Mikheyev basically breaks the game open. It's a done deal at that point. But as soon as JT Miller scored that goal, I had just a bad gut feeling about where this one was going, because you could just tell that the Sens kind of sunk a little bit after that one.